Well, new this morning, so-called gray divorce is on the rise. Divorce rates for baby boomers have tripled since 1990. Research at Bowling Green State University finds divorce rates among those over 65 was more than 15% in 2022. It was only about 5% in 1990. So we're going to bring in Colette Fehr. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist and also a relationship expert. We love having her here on Good Day Orlando. Thanks so much for coming in again this morning.
Being here. Thank you.
Okay, so this topic is so interesting to me because I feel like now that you put stats behind it, I'm actually not as surprised because I feel like I have seen this a little bit more.
Yep.
Are you surprised by that?
Not at all. In fact, many of the couples who come into my office, other people are surprised by this, but are in their 50s, 60s, and even 70s. And I think there are a couple of reasons that gray divorce is on the rise. One is that there's a reduced stigma against divorce at this point. It's been decades that so many people, at about 50% of marriages, end in divorce. I also think people are living much longer. So it used to be that you didn't get to the point of a 40-year itch, right? You died before you got there. Now we're living a much longer time. So if you're unhappy at 55 and you see your life as 35, 40 more years, people want to make a change.
That's a good point. And you know, if someone is kind of at that point in their life right now, and you know, maybe they're in their 50s and 60s and they're like, is it too late? Is it too late to almost restart and start again? I feel like you would say, no, it's not too late.
Absolutely not. I'm 51 years old. This is the best yet.
Yes.
And there's so much to the lifespan. Plus, we've changed the way we live in our 50s and 60s and 70s. When you look at that old show, The Golden Girls.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Some of them were younger than I am, but they were styled and living more like little old grannies, right? Nothing wrong with that, but that's not the way most of us are approaching life now. So I think that people also are expecting something more from marriage than in generations past. Emotional fulfillment, intimacy, and closeness. And so if a marriage has gone on for many years without that, some people are saying, I want more.
Yeah. And I think maybe talk to a little bit about some of the things that you can do now in your marriage to maybe not head for a gray divorce, because me and you were talking about this during commercial break about kids and when couples are married and maybe, you know, there were some rocks in the beginning, but they have kids and kind of silences, I feel like, maybe some issues until the kids are gone, they're off to college, and then they're looking at each other like, uh-oh, now what? And they might head for a divorce. But maybe there's someone out there that's like, I don't want to get to that point.
Absolutely.
What's your suggestion?
So I like to call, people talk about empty nest, but I like to also talk about empty marriage. That if you get to that point where the kids are going off and you have neglected your marriage for 20, 30 plus years, or focused exclusively on the children, suddenly you're looking across the table at someone and saying, I'm not even sure how I feel about you. I don't even know you. So putting a lot of energy and intentional investment into the marriage along the way is what's important, because the real cause of divorce, you know, people talk about financial differences, infidelity, growing apart. Certainly that's true, but all roads lead back to emotional disconnection. So you have to make your relationship a priority throughout its lifespan.
Okay, and then last but not least, it's the holidays. And, you know, there might be some families out there that are trying to navigate through this new, you know, chapter of their life, whether it's their parents are divorced or they're headed for that point. What are your tips for families that are dealing with this right now?
Yeah, it can be really hard, especially if this is the first year. So give yourself lots of grace and compassion. There may be some grief that comes up, but also be flexible and open to being creative and seeing the holidays as different than they've been in the past. What could you plan that would be fun, that might not be like what you've ever done before? Reach out to friends. Don't be alone, because the holidays can make people feel very isolated and sad.
That's a good point. Colette, we're never sad when you're here. We so appreciate you. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
We, of course, appreciate it.